Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining our live stream. This is the official book launch of The Offer You Can't Refuse, the newest book by our friend Steven van Belleghem. Wow! My name is Jim, I'm your host for this session. Steven, of course, is here in the building. He's backstage right now. First, let me take care of some housekeeping. First of all, this is live, which is great. It's also kind of exciting, and it means that it's interactive. So you can ask questions to Steven. So if you've already read the book or you have an interesting question, feel free already to type it into Slido. That way I can read it out to Steven later on in this program. And there's also a chance for you, if you're joining us via Zoom, that you can ask your question on video. But I do urge you, I ask you to turn on your video, because that makes communication way better for us all. Right, so as I said, this is the official book launch. Steven is going to give us like a fireside tour across the book, and then there's the Q&A. So it's time for me to introduce the man who needs no introduction. Of course, you already know that he writes bestsellers. Think about When Digital Becomes Human, The Conversation Manager. You also know that he speaks at big events. Chances are that you've seen him at work in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Miami, wherever. And thirdly, he's one of the few people who can say that he was the opening act of Barack Obama in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Steven van Belleghem. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Welcome.
Thank you.
Woo, people are clapping.
Yeah.
That's so nice. So, this is the book launch.
It is, yeah.
Wow. And we're doing it in a digital way. Is this something that a year ago you would have thought?
No. When I was planning for this event, I thought there would be a big theater with a few hundred people that would be joining here live. But I'm very happy because, you know, Jim, today we had a previous session in Dutch an hour ago, and we had more than 900 people who joined in. We have hundreds of people now, so I would never have been able to put all those people together in one room. So we're reaching many more people than
That's a
with
big
the initial
theater.
plan.
Yeah. So without further ado, just take your time, just talk us through the book, and I'll join you for Q&A.
All right,
Good luck.
Thanks, Jim. Hi, everyone, welcome, thanks for joining in. I can see some of you, I see Patrick, I see Cedric, I see Tante Mieke from San Francisco joining in, I see people from Canada. So thanks for being here, thanks also for your kind messages on social media the last few days. That was really very kind to see. So I hope you're gonna have a good time, thanks for being here. The offer you can't refuse. Many people ask me, Steven, did you use that sentence because it was used in The Godfather? And you probably know the meaning of that sentence when they used it in The Godfather. Well, I can tell you this book is not about how to kill someone or how to murder people. That's not what it is about. It's not where I found the inspiration. And actually, the initial usage of the term "the offer you can't refuse" was used for the first time in 1932 with this movie Burn 'Em Up Barnes, which is a movie about an oil field, and people wanted to buy that oil field. And in that movie, they used "the offer you can't refuse" for the first time in the meaning that I would like to use it as well. And this is a story about the future of customer experience. This is a story that brings hope, that gives positive energy, and that, you know, invites companies to think about how can we eliminate barriers for customers to do business with us, and how can we add value on a number of set of dimensions. How can we add value on different layers to make sure that people will buy from us and that they will like to buy from us today, but also in the future. Look, I'm convinced that this is a turning point in human history, what we're seeing right now. And I think that we're at the beginning of a new wave with new customer behavior and new customer expectations. And if you look back in the old world, the new minimum to be in business was having a good product, a good price, and a good service. Well, I think this has changed. And in the past 10 years, digital convenience became part of the new normal. And digital convenience was created by technologies like mobile and social and 4G. And many companies, mainly the big technology companies, they took us on this road. Amazon, Booking.com, Zalando, Apple, Google, Alibaba, they all created this almost, you know, perfect transactional relationship between them and their customers. And because of that, today, this is just the most natural thing in the world. If you have digital convenience, good. If you don't have it, you're in deep trouble. And over time, we will see that, of course, digital convenience can be a little bit stretched. We're in the middle of this evolution, and we've seen this in the last few years. We've seen how companies like Amazon introduced the dash buttons, one click to order a product. We've seen how McDonald's completely reinvented the way that you go to their restaurants and how you order food. We've seen that the unscalable became scalable, like personal coaches. In the past, you had to go to find one and you had to spend time with that personal coach. Today, this can be scaled thanks to artificial intelligence and our mobile phones. We saw the rise of voice assistants moving from a one-click to a zero-click interface. And then COVID-19 hit the planet. And I still call 2020 the year of the biggest digital training course in human history. Everything we do is now digitally. Look at us here tonight. I see your faces on a screen. I could never have imagined that it would be like this. But I'm convinced that the person who invented the Zoom interface or the Teams interface, that person must have been a huge fan of the Muppet Show. Because if you look to the way that the Muppets organize themselves, it is exactly the same as we are organizing ourselves today in Zoom or in Teams meetings. We see digital everywhere, and this has a consequence. If you look outside today, ask yourself the question, do we still see the entire world? I don't think so. I think we see part of the world, because there's this invisible layer of digital technologies that is flying above us, and it's changing the way that we interact with companies. And in the past, we talked about digital versus analog. We talked about online versus offline. Today, it is a hybrid world where both of those forces come together, and where every interaction that you have with a customer actually will have a digital component. And this will be stretched in the next few years. If you ask me what the future of digital interfaces will look like, well, I'm convinced that these 4 characteristics will play a role in that. Interfaces will become more invisible than ever before. They will be more personalized, they will require less effort from the customer, and they will be more proactive than ever before. And even in markets that have been functioning in the same way over and over again, like the healthcare industry, you're starting to see changes that completely revamp the entire model, completely rethink the interactions between customers and businesses. Take Good Doctor, which is one of the platforms of Chinese insurance company Ping An. And this is a platform that if you feel something, if you have pain or some sort of a symptom, you go to their app, you type in the symptoms that you have, and in real time they connect you with a doctor with a video call. And that doctor will make a first assessment to see if something serious is going on or if you just have a minor issue. If you have a minor issue, they may prescribe you instantly some medication. They bring that to wherever you may be within 30 minutes. And if something serious is going on, they will send you to a physical doctor, to a hospital to do further examinations. But you feel how this is completely changing the way that we interact. Today, if I'm in pain, if something's wrong with me, I live in Belgium. I have to take half a day off to get the first medical help. I have to make an appointment with my doctor, then I have to wait there in the waiting room. They always let us wait. Then you have the examination, then you have to go to a pharmacy to get the medication, then you go back home. It takes me half a day. And because of that, I'm not that eager to go instantly to a doctor. What if I can do that with a screen and a touch of a button? Well, apparently that's very popular because about 300 million users are now working with Ping An. And they're also bringing this back to the physical world, that they're using this idea of a hybrid world. These are like phone booths, old-fashioned phone booths, but now they're mobile clinics is what they call them. You go in, and then you have a screen and you have a video call with a doctor, and if the doctor prescribes you certain medication, you go to the other side of the mobile clinic and you instantly get your medication. So it's a complete new transactional model, and what they're trying to do is optimize every detail of the customer journey. And you can look to all different kind of interfaces that you see. They are more user-friendly than ever. Take drones. I still remember my first drone I ever had. My children still talk about that because I was playing with it in our garden, and within 2 minutes, that drone ended up in a tree, and we never, ever saw it again. But today, I have this Mavic Mini from DJI, and it's extremely user-friendly. Like a few months ago, we had this family reunion, and they asked me, Steven, take a picture with the drone. And I could do it. It's easy as hell to do it. I still have to train a little bit, but it's a lot easier than in the past. Transactional optimization. Digital convenience is becoming the norm, and because of that, it is becoming a commodity. So question is, what is behind that? And you feel how customers are now having other expectations towards organizations. And you need to build upon that. And I work with 2 dimensions, and this is the core of the Offer You Can't Refuse book. I work with these 2 dimensions and ask myself the question, how can companies become a partner in life of organizations, and how can they add value to society? And the combination of those 2 dimensions, in combination, of course, with the minimum needs, creates the offer people can't refuse. Now, before I dive into how to create the offer you can't refuse, I want to do a small experiment with you guys, and I'm counting on my virtual audience here to participate in this little interactive exercise. All of you know that I'm a huge Disney fan, so there's always a little bit of Disney magic in my presentations, and today I chose for Aladdin. And you all know the story, right? You find the lamp, you rub the lamp, then bam, the genie pops out, and you get 3 wishes. The genie is like, you are my master, here are your 3 wishes. And you all know the rules, right? You cannot ask for more wishes, that's not allowed. You cannot ask someone to come back from the dead, that's not allowed. And you cannot ask that someone falls in love with you. All other options are open. So have you ever thought about that? What would be your first wish? I perfectly know what my first wish would be. There's no doubt, I know it perfectly. Do you know your first wish? I'm going to do a small test, and the people that are in the Zoom meeting can raise their hands if they recognize their own answer in the options here. Is there someone who asked something for himself? That's what I did. You can raise your hand if you do. Okay, we can be honest here. It's a small group of people together. Or maybe you asked something for your children, friends, or family. Okay, cool. And is there someone who solved the world problem? We have 1 person who solved the world problem. That is fantastic. All the others could also have solved the war in Syria. You could have ended COVID-19. You could have granted Belgium a good working government. But no, you decided to choose something for yourself or your children. Is that something that we should feel bad about? No. But as business people, we need to take this into account. And people don't like to hear this, but reality is it's still customer first, planet second. First, if you want to be successful, you have to help your customers, and on top of that, you can do good for society. But it only works in one direction. If you want to create the offer you can't refuse, it's about customers. It starts with customers. And ask yourself, how can we become a partner in their life? And you know, this is about understanding the human behind the customer. It's about understanding how you can become a non-intrusive partner in people's life. It's about understanding the movie that plays in the head of your customers. Every person in the world has like a movie with the plan of their life. And we have dreams and fears. We have hopes and things that we hope will never happen. How can you play a role in that as an organization? How can you support them in that? Let me show you this example. There's this healthcare insurance company based in New York. It's called Oscar. And in the middle of the big lockdown in New York, there was scarcity of access to doctors. And you know in the US how expensive it is to have medical help. So these guys were like, okay, we can help our customers here. So what they did was this. They said, look, every customer that we have, we're going to make sure that you have access to a doctor, if you need one, in as little as 15 minutes, completely for free. You can imagine the value that you bring to the market here. Or if you need a refill of your medication, they take care of that. They help you with that. You know, and this is about understanding the life journey of people. You know, a customer journey is about optimizing transactions. A life journey is about making sure that the emotional state of your customers is being supported. And it's about helping them in a broader way than you did before. And this works in every industry. Let's take Q8, gas stations. These guys are now becoming a partner in mobility. And they are investing in car sharing apps and car sharing options to make sure that they can facilitate mobility. In Belgium, in Antwerp, they have now a parking finder. So if you want to find a parking place, they guide you to the empty spot in the city. But you feel how these organizations are, you know, moving further away from the core of their activities, selling gas to people, to becoming a partner in mobility. It's about understanding how you can add value to customers in different ways. Some people tell me, Stephen, I'm a little bit scared that companies would become a partner in life. I'm a little bit scared that they would go too far. And I think this is a very good point. And the last few years when we were talking about technology, and not the last few years, the entire existence of the human race, we use technology to improve our quality of life. And the only question we had was like, can we do this? Can we go to the moon? Yes, we're going to the moon. Can we go to Mars? Yes, we're going to Mars. I think in the next 10 and 20 years, more than ever, we're going to ask ourselves the question, should we do it? Should we do it? I don't know if you've seen this experiment. This is from a test that they've done in South Korea, where a lady met her deceased child. Her daughter passed away a year or 2 years ago, and then they recreated virtually that little girl. And this mother could speak to her daughter that died a few years ago. So you can imagine how intense this must be for this lady, meeting a child that no longer lives with you. And maybe some people would love to do that. It's a very personal thing. But I'm like, when I see this, is this really something that we need in society? What are the disadvantages of this? Maybe some people will never be able to say goodbye to their loved ones because of this. And this is 2020, guys. I mean, imagine what we can do in 2025 and 2030 and 2040. I'm convinced that technology will be able to keep people alive forever, that I will be able to speak with my parents for the rest of my life in a digital format. But is this something that we want to do? I don't know the answer to that. But one thing is clear, because of loads of new technologies that are coming our way, like artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum computing, we will be able to create new services, new opportunities to the planet that are really cool on the one hand, but I'm also convinced that we will have to think more about, is this something that we want to do? Let's bring it closer to home. Let's bring it closer to our day-to-day lives. Take the Halo bracelet that Amazon launched a few weeks ago. It's a very cool new gadget. It's like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. They do the same things, but they also add your emotion to it. Based on your voice, they will be able to state in which emotional state you are. They will know if you're happy, sad, or angry, for instance. Question is, what does a company like Amazon, what can they do with that? I'm not saying that this could be a strategy, but imagine that they would know that if you're really happy, that you're willing to pay more. What if they know that you're in a very good mood and they just increase prices with 5 or 10% because they know you will buy? You're in a good mood and they know that based on your data. You know, these are new kind of techniques, new technologies that are coming to a customer that can be very untransparent to people. And the question is, how do we deal with this? This is also part of the life journey story. How can you do this in an ethical way, in a human way? This is also what digital is about. It's not just about automation, it's also about making it human, making it ethical. Partner in life. And then you can build the top of this pyramid, the top of this model. Can you change your world? And we see a flip in marketing, where it used to be a focus on authenticity, now it's a focus on responsibility. And you feel how society looks to organizations to solve challenges in society. There is a higher level of trust towards companies than in governments. And people are worried about healthcare, about climate, about the rising tide of inequality. And people expect companies to take their responsibility. We're facing some big challenges. And all research is pointing in the same direction. Organizations should stand up and deal with that. 74% of the world's population is hoping that CEOs will take their responsibility and will not wait until a government is forcing them to do so. And you know, when you talk about changing the world, maybe that's too big, maybe that's too far away, maybe that seems impossible for some organizations. Question is, can we change our world? It's not about changing the world, it's about changing your world. How can you use your strengths and your assets in your organization to have a positive impact on society? Not just with words, but also with actions. How can you combine like consumer activism, where you promote adding value to society, with actually taking action? I want to show you this example here. A company called Max. It is the oldest hamburger chain that we have in Europe. It's based in the Nordics, and they have fantastic burgers. But I want to ask you guys a question. Do you still remember the tastiest burger you ever had in your life? I can name a few. I can name a few. But the question is, in how many cases was that a burger without red meat? For me personally, my best burger ever was definitely with red meat. And I think the same goes for many of you. And this is the problem for this company, Max, because their ambition is to become climate positive. Not neutral, but positive. And to succeed in that, they have to make sure that more than half of the burgers that they sell are actually non-red meat burgers, because red meat is bad for the climate. And they succeed in this. And if you will go to their website, you will see how they invest in high-quality products that are non-red meat products. They invest more than any other hamburger chain in good chicken products with fish or plant-based meat. They have all these alternatives that are really, really good. And if they have a certain product where they cannot be climate neutral or positive, they alternatively start to plant trees to make sure that they overcompensate. And if you go to their website, you will see that they're extremely transparent about this whole process. But this is typically a company that is talking about it and is also doing it. They are changing their world. And that's the top of this model. Huh? How can you build different components, different layers, to make sure you remove all barriers for people to do business with you? And how can you make them excited on multiple levels in your organization to give them an offer they can't refuse? Look, it's a very interesting year, and people expect more than ever. People expect that things go well, and people expect you to do more for the customers these days. And they also expect you to take your responsibility towards society. But don't forget your first wish. Don't forget Aladdin and the genie, because this model only works bottom up. And some companies come to me, like NGOs, and they say, Stephen, we're saving the planet. Why aren't we reaching more people? Well, the answer is usually the bottom of the pyramid is not good enough. Your digital interfaces are just not good enough. And because of that, you only attract a small group of idealists. But to reach the mass market, this model only works bottom up. And this is my invitation to you guys. Think about these different layers in your own organization. Think how far you are. Think where you need to invest more, where you still have some opportunities to grow. And I would like to end with this slide. I use it in all my presentations. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to dream about what is possible. Dream about 2025 and ask yourself, what are options? What are strategies? What are actions that I could do to really create that offer people can't refuse? Reverse your way back and start building it to win the heart and the business of your customers over and over again, and to give them an offer they can't refuse. This is what I had to kick off this event for all of you. I hope it was a good start of the event, and thank you for listening. And I'm going to invite Jim back to have a conversation about it.
Awesome. Wow. What a great kickoff. Yeah. Because when I introduced you, I said a fireside introduction. I meant fire hose.
Okay.
It was like a lightning round, but I like it. Yeah. Those were 180 slides.
180 slides. Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well done. So this brings me to my first question.
Yes.
What if everyone reads this book, do as you say, becomes a partner in life? How can we differentiate then?
If that happens, Jim, I can retire. Then it's mission completed.
Okay, we can go home.
My passion is to make sure that companies become more customer-centric. So if all of them have great digital interfaces, they become a good partner in life and they save the planet, we're done. I can retire. Yeah. On a more serious note, I think that a lot of companies are working on these dimensions. So that's the good news. But most companies think that investing in customer experience is about investing in processes and making sure you have a good process ready.
Right.
And once you have it, you're done. I believe that's the minimum requirement, and it's not the differentiator. I think the differentiating aspect really comes from inside, from the DNA, from the identity. And the way that you color that process, that will define if I prefer to go to company A or company B. So you need to add personality to the processes, and there's a lot of opportunity there for every company to differentiate themselves with.
Sure. The tools are out there, but how you use them, that's up to your brand, your people.
Yeah.
All right. And this partner in life concept, I really like it. There are actually some brands that I really relate to.
Okay.
But how many partners in life is one allowed to have?
Legally one, Jim. Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, legally
yes.
one.
Yeah.
But in an organizational point of view, there are different kind of partner in life companies today. If we look to Asian markets, take China or Singapore, they have WeChat, they have Grab, which are super apps. And basically, they take care of everything. Your financial stuff, your e-commerce, your insurances, they take care of everything. So you only need them. It's an extreme version. If you look to a lower level, every human has needs: financial services, mobility, safety, healthcare.
Yep.
Now, in each of those dimensions, you could have a company that becomes a partner in life. A bank, for instance, could evolve from having a good transactional app to really helping you as a broad payment platform or a broad investment platform, or just relieving you from any concerns you may have financially. And on the lowest level, I think every organization should ask itself, what are we selling to a customer? And then proactively try to understand what could be certain barriers and what could excite them. And if you proactively remove the barriers by adding other services, by communicating better, if you know what excites them and you double down on that, even if it's beyond the core of what you sell, every company can make a difference.
Yeah.
But it's a non-intrusive partner in life. You don't want companies to be all over you all the time. You play the main role in your film, and companies should support you to make sure that that is a film that you really love to play in.
I'm the star.
You are the star of the show, yeah.
Right, okay. That's a very helpful analogy. And also, many times when we talk about brands that are doing a great job or that are loved brands, we look at those consumer brands like Apple, of course, Disney, love them. But let's say that people who are watching right now are in a business-to-business context. Do the same rules apply?
Yes. I don't see a difference for any market. Take the model, the offer you can't refuse model. It's about having good product price, obviously. Yeah. Digital convenience. I mean, in the B2B world, this is the point where many organizations are now becoming stronger, investing. Partner in life, I think that is, by definition, the core strength of a business-to-business company. They know their customers, they know what's going on, and they try to bring as much value as possible to the table. And then you have the top of the pyramid. Can we make a difference there in terms of sustainability, for instance, really crucial in many B2B environments. But maybe someone is listening and is saying, hey, Steven, in our markets, it's just product and price.
Yeah,
and that's fine. That's the best news of the day, because that means you only need to invest in the layer on top of that, digital convenience, to make a difference. If you do 10% better than the others, then you already can make a difference.
That's true.
But there's one danger. That is that you could become the fastest snail of the snail race. Some B2B companies, they are so focused on their direct competitors left and right of them, and they say, hey, these guys aren't doing anything in digital. We're ahead of them, but you're still slow. You're still a snail in the snail race. And you could be surprised by others, or you could be surprised by new movements in the market that suddenly it becomes necessary to go to the top of the model.
And you told me that close to the place where you grew up, you actually found an example of a company that does really well.
Absolutely.
Which company are we talking about?
Verstraeten IML.
Verstraeten
and
IML.
I'm so happy, Jim, that I can actually have an example of the town where I grew up in Belleghem in Belgium, that I could find an example of a company that is really worth writing an interesting piece about on the book.
Yeah.
And I went to them, and they have a challenge because they're printing on plastic, and suddenly their big clients are like, we don't want to have plastic anymore. But they solved that. And I went to them, they have the solution, and I suggest we let them speak on what they did.
Let's look at this video.
Hi everyone, I'm here at Verstraeten IML. This is a company based in Belleghem. And this is a unique experience for me because I grew up in this town, and now I live like 10 kilometers away from here in Knesselare. And I'm visiting here at the Verstraeten IML because, first of all, they are a world leader in their industry in multi-label printing, but they have a fantastic story on how they are becoming part of a solution for the challenges that the world is facing in terms of climate. And I'm talking here with Nico van der Wallen, who is the head of innovation, and he has some fantastic stories to share with us.
As you know, we have many challenges, but one of the biggest ones these days in our business, the plastic packaging industry, is the war on plastics and the transition from a linear to a circular economy. And to be able to drive this circular economy, we have to step away from virgin plastics. So our customers, the plastic packaging producers, they have to use more and more recycled materials to produce new packaging. And that's how we can really create a circular economy. Now, the issue is that those recycled materials are not available on the market, or not, the availability is not big enough. And also the quality is not always right. Now, to offer a solution for that and to be able to drive a circular economy, Vlerick Multi-Labels took the initiative, and together with a couple of companies, we were among the founders of the Holy Grail project. Now, the Holy Grail project is everything about intelligent sorting. Intelligent sorting so we can create high quality recycling streams that can be reused again. And how do we do that? In our business, being a printing company, printing in-mold labels, we print interactive in-mold labels. Now, interactive in-mold labels are labels which actually hold a Digimark barcode or digital watermark. It's a hidden code, so the whole package becomes one big code and holds the digital recycling passport. Now, new developed sorting machines, which we are currently developing with partners, they pick up that digital recycling passport, and that allows them to have a more efficient, a more intelligent sorting out of plastic packaging, and that results again in high quality recycled materials. And that's what Holy Grail everything is about, intelligent sorting. Now, you know us, we take it always one step higher. With the same technology, we can also make the packaging, like I said, intelligent, and that can also be used at home. So consumers can scan the package with their smartphone, and they are being informed on how to recycle the packaging at home, where it all starts. And you can do that with scanning a logo, but you can also do that with augmented reality. So our happy cow, sometimes called the holy cow, comes alive and will invite the consumers to be good for nature and recycle the packaging. So one and the same technology, which actually drives a circular economy.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
I love it. The Holy Grail, the Holy Cow.
The Holy Grail project, it's cool, huh, isn't it?
Yeah, from Belleghem.
From Belleghem, but I like the part that they're not putting their head in the sand and saying, yeah, but plastic is great. No, they actually became part of the solution.
Yeah,
it's great.
Which is also very entrepreneurial.
It is.
I mean, the entrepreneurs that I meet, they have all these ideas, right? They go to bed to wake up with another idea, but sometimes they can drive you crazy. What am I supposed to do with all these ideas? Do you have some comforting words how to funnel that?
Of course, you need a lot of ideas. It's the top of the model, and then you need to decide which ones will become an experiment.
You should be worried if you have no ideas.
That's a big problem. Many ideas is good. Then you select those that you want to do an experiment with, and then you see how to scale that out. Now, my good friend, Peter Hinsen, he's a co-founder of Nextworks. We started the company together. And I'm very proud that he wrote a chapter in my new book exactly about this topic. He created a model called the hourglass model to actually help companies to better fill and manage that innovation funnel. So I would suggest that we let Peter explain it. He's very good at it.
Okay, the master himself.
Yes. Hi everyone, I'm here in the Apple Chapel of Peter Hinsen. Peter wrote one of the chapters in my new book, The Offer You Can't Refuse, and I'm here to interview him about those ideas because I want to share them with all of you.
Well, what I did, and thanks for allowing me to write a chapter in your book, is to elaborate on what I call the hourglass model. And the hourglass model is something that I actually picked up from one of my customers, Medtronic, which is one of the largest medical device companies in the world. They're known for their pacemakers. But I was fascinated on how companies like that transform themselves, how they put innovation into execution. And the hourglass model is a very interesting way to look at it. Everybody knows the shape of the hourglass. There's the top of the hourglass, and this is your wide lens. This is where you look for ideas and inspiration, ideas, business models, technologies, but then you need to narrow it down. Then you need to experiment. You need to try things, use psychological safety to figure out exactly what you want to do, and then it drops into the bottom half of that hourglass. And this is where you scale and run things in the most efficient way you can. And what I found fascinating with a company like Medtronic is what is the percentage of activities in the top and in the bottom? What is the culture in the top and in the bottom? And the most important is the alignment between them. Because many companies innovate or do something spectacularly new, but often it just falls into non-fertile ground. You need to make sure that the top of the hourglass is fully aligned with the bottom. And then you need to shift as many resources as you can into that top part. There are many companies who spend maybe 1 or 2% in just the top and 97%, 98% in the bottom half of that hourglass. But you find the right balance, if you can align them and think about the different cultures, I think that's a very interesting way to look at how you can actually put innovation into a very practical execution.
What a great way to look at it, the hourglass. Yeah.
Yeah, it works, and it's very practical for companies to play with it, and it's very interesting, especially for the people who are part of the innovation team, that they need to align themselves very closely with the people of the machinery that can actually scale out the innovation.
Yeah.
Very often, nothing happens with a successful experiment, which leads to frustration.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of Apple product placements in this video.
Yeah, Peter owns the largest collection of Apple computers in Europe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he does.
How
It's really
many
cool.
do you think he has?
I don't know, hundreds, yeah.
Okay.
And last time, when we went for the video, I took my oldest son with me, Sibe, and he loved the place, but while we were making the video, he started to push buttons.
Okay.
And we basically discovered that those computers, even if they're from the 80s, they still work, so he fixed all of them.
Good
Can
stuff.
you imagine that?
Good stuff. I like him even more now.
Yeah.
So we meet each other a couple of times a year, usually on stages, and then you blow everybody away, but something happened last March.
We had a small incident.
A little disruption came your way. How
Yeah.
did you deal with that?
Well, not good in the beginning. I mean, I had this wonderful lineup of events for my spring. I was going to Australia 2 times, to Panama, to Kuala Lumpur, all over Europe. I was really looking forward to it. And then in 2 weeks' time, all gone.
Yeah.
And silence, empty agenda. No one was emailing me, no more requests. That was new for me. I've been in a luxury position that I always have a lot of work. And to be honest, I was really depressed. I'm a very positive guy, but I was panicking. I was really worried, what if this takes a year and a half? But then I said, my passion is to share ideas about customer experience, and I can still do that. Not the way that I really want to do it, but I can make online content. I can invest more in that. And that really helped. And a lot of companies reacted very positively to that. And since mid-May, I'm having full weeks again with lots of presentations. It's not booked for months anymore. It's now, let's say, weeks. Until November, I have a full calendar again. But I'm very thankful, very happy that I can work again and that I can do what I like most. I miss the real life energy. It's fantastic to see all those people here on the screen. It's cool to see all of you. But it's even better when we can see each other in real life. So I hope that will come back in the future.
Yeah. I hope that with you. In the meantime, I really enjoy you call it screen sharing, I think, right? In your office, in your kitchen.
Yeah, I do a lot of presentations from home, especially when it's international. We cannot travel. Sure. And in Belgium and the Netherlands, we do a lot of things in beautiful settings like these. Like this is a fantastic studio to be able to hold a presentation like this.
Yeah. For those who want to know, we are right now in Hilversum. And this event is a concept by Faber Audiovisual, and also big thank you to NEP Netherlands and Denk Producties for putting this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having said that, one other element that I found fascinating on your book, this was the first book that I encountered that had its own soundtrack.
Yes.
Was that an idea of yours? Well, of course it was.
Yeah,
Why?
I always like to do something special that goes beyond a printed copy of a book.
Sure.
Like in my previous one, we had augmented reality, where people could just let videos and people come to life and explain things of the examples. That was really cool. And this time I was like, okay, movies and TV shows, they all have their soundtrack, original soundtrack. A book is basically also a story. It's not just a bunch of words, it's a story. This is my story, this book. I wrote a lot of personal anecdotes in it. So I wanted to have a soundtrack. So I went to the artist Ozark Henry, and I've known him for a couple of years, and I told him the idea, and he was really excited. And I pitched my story of my book to him. I said, look, this is what the story will be about. Can you compose an original song specifically for this book?
Wow.
And he was excited, yeah, and that's what he did. And I had the pleasure to be there in the studio, and he was actually playing with the music and making it. And he can explain this very well, and we have a video about him telling us how he did it and why he did this.
Okay, let's hear from Piet.
Hey everyone, I'm here in the music studio of Piet Godard, who is better known as the artist Ozark Henry. And I'm very excited because Piet composed the music, the soundtrack for my new book, The Offer You Can't Refuse. And I'm here to interview him to talk about his approach and how he actually created that piece of music for me.
First of all, it's the first time I've ever done anything like it. But I start the way I would start for any commissioned work. I look at what is the script first, and then I try to find what is the main thing that I could underline using music. And I thought it was the pressure of time. There is no time to wait. Things go on, and or you're in the story or you're not. You're in or you're out. And that was for me the frame of what became, I mean, the tune or the soundtrack to your book. Immersive sound is a 3D audio format, meaning it has the same qualities as natural sound. We are immersed by sound all the time. Our brain understands a 3D audio format way better than any other format. I am working in that format for, I think now 6 years. I'm very passionate about it. And I think it makes way more sense if you're passionate about sound or about audio to work in that format. Why? As I said, your brain understands the format way better. You know, your body reacts to the sound before you think. So the way in is, it feels way more emotional, it feels way more personal. It's almost as if you're listening with your full body.
Listening and reading with your full body.
Isn't that nice?
It's very nice. Have you spoken to readers who actually turned on the soundtrack and started to read?
I did. I got so many positive reactions. People were surprised by the fact that there's an original song composed for the book, and people are trying it out. And yeah, I'm getting many positive reactions.
It's not a gimmick, it's actually something that people say, huh.
Yeah, people
That
try
has,
it out. I can
benefit.
see it on my webpage.
Sure.
They go to stevenvanbelleghem.com/music. There you can find the soundtrack.
Ah, okay.
And I can see that hundreds of people are trying it out. So that's really cool to see. Yeah.
So cool. At the start of this live stream, I asked you guys to send in questions, and you did. I asked you to turn on your videos, and you did. So it's now time for the live Q&A part of the program. And Steven, I see here that we already have someone waiting in the Zoom call. We have Frank. Hi there.
Hey, Frank, good to see you.
Oh, you know each other?
I know him. Yeah.
Hi. Nice to see you, Steven. Yeah, we see each other quite regularly at Vlerick Business School, actually, where Steven is also an adjunct professor. So thank you, Steven. The book's already ordered for the Vlerick Library, as you know. But a question, of course, you're waiting for. And actually, Jim, I think you asked a great question in the beginning. That idea of a partner in a life journey, how much partners do you want? And Steven, I want to challenge you a little bit. You know, we work often from the context of how should brands, companies react to that. And I was thinking, like you were talking, okay, if you talk about partners in a life journey, should we then give the message to companies that they should try to become a jack of all trades and try to solve every possible issue ideally, versus the traditional notion of the master of one, the specialist? And I want to challenge you a little bit how to approach that, because we all think about the shakeout game, the Amazon's coming, this all-encompassing platforms. But so my essential question is, and it's a little bit recapping Jim's question, if we go back to business and we're a local player or we're a player in a specific niche, should we aim to that all-encompassing battling the Amazons platform model, or are there other ways out? So what are your options there?
Yeah, thanks, Frank. I'm glad you asked it. I love to clarify. I don't think the idea is to become a jack of all trades. But I do believe that if you look to your core, that around that core, there's so many valuable services for customers that you can add that go beyond selling a product, but that really help people in having their life more efficient, or where you save energy, or where they add value. I'm thinking of let's take supermarkets these days. Many supermarkets have the goal to let people live a healthier life. But you can do more than just selling vegetables to them. You can really make sure that it's easy for them to find all the ingredients for a healthy meal. You can make sure maybe that in a smart interface that okay, they got all these ingredients, but if they add one, they can make something they really like, and it's absolutely healthy. At that point, you're doing more than just selling them healthy products. It's the example that I've been talking to Jim before. My Wi-Fi didn't work well in my house recently, and I called the guys to fix it, and everything was done perfectly. Transactional perfection. They were friendly, they came at the hour, they did a few checks, and then they said, yeah, but the modem, it works fine, this thing is working fine. You're right, your internet is slow, but it's not our fault. If you're a partner in life, you say, hey, you've been paying me hundreds of euros every month for the past 20 years, we're not going home before we solve this issue. Then you're not a jack of all trades, but you are partnering with me to add value in my life. That's the meaning on the lowest level, which I believe is the most valuable one. Of course, you have the big partner in life, things like I explained to Jim, but on this lowest level, I think there are many opportunities, but you don't have to become crazy. It's about knowing the core and building value around it that goes beyond selling the product. That's, I think, the core of what I mean.
Okay.
Can you agree with that? Do you agree with it?
You got the thumbs up?
Yeah, I got the thumbs up.
Frank, thank you so much for asking a question. Big shout out to Vlerick Business School.
Yeah.
Another question is from Bob. Bob says, what are the big changes you expect in the supply chain domain in the coming years?
Yeah, it's a very good one. If you look to supply chain, for instance, to deliveries, home deliveries, we see a trend that it's going faster and faster and faster, right? If you look in
delivery
of goods. Look at China. I remember last time I was there 2 years ago, the average delivery time was 29 minutes. And we went to JD, the Amazon of China. They said 30 minutes is not good enough. We want to do lightning delivery, which is within 5 or 7 minutes. And the way that we can do that is to predict what people want to buy before they actually buy it. So on the one hand, and that's part of the answer, on the one hand, I think it will go faster and the needs to speed up will increase. On the other hand, I also believe that it will be slower, but a different kind of slow than what we used to. I buy a lot of products online, and sometimes 7 on a day on 7 different platforms. And then the next day, we have 7 people coming to our house with 7 packages. To be honest, I don't always need those products the next day. I could perfectly wait until the end of the week and that we have a bundled delivery. Okay. What if we have the option? Sometimes we need things within the hour. Sometimes we can wait a few days. So I think that one of the challenges for supply chain will also be to make sure that you can have a slower but customer-friendly kind of delivery and logistics. And I think we're going to see both. And I think both will be a challenge for the supply chain.
So you as a customer can choose between lightning speed or I'm not in a hurry, just make the most responsible choice.
Make the responsible choice. I don't want to have a car just coming to my house because I need something. Let's do it together with the whole neighborhood and we'll do the pickup on Saturday.
All right. Well, Bob, I hope this answers your question. And I'm looking to this part of the screen and there we see Patrick.
Patrick.
Steven, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. I hope you don't hear the children too much outside. They just went, there's a school next door. So
no worries.
It sounds pleasant.
Well, first of all, again, congratulations on the great book. It's again, I had the pleasure to visit together with you and Steven many companies, with you and Peter, many companies throughout the world. And it's never stops to amaze me how you two keep on guiding us on this challenging journey. But as you always also do, you stress me out a little bit again. You told just in the presentation that CEOs are, people are starting to look at CEOs to change the world for the better. So no pressure there then. As a CEO, I feel it's, you know me already a long time. I'm practicing what you preach a lot.
More than anyone else in the world, I think.
No, I don't know.
I'm sure,
But in my perception and my experience, what I use the customer journey and I reverse engineer everything.
Yeah.
But I see the big challenge being my own company. In fact, we have a very agile and high tech and advanced company. And that's all okay. But culture-wise, it's not always evident to or easy to get everybody on board in this kind of thinking, in this mentality, and this vision that you share with us in your book. Do you have any tips or tricks aside from inviting you more in our business? How we can like change the culture or like move the culture more towards this kind of thinking throughout the company?
Yeah, it's a very difficult one, Patrick, and I know you for a long time. You have many ideas and you implement them and you try, and he's serious. He tries everything, and you have to take that very literally. Everything, every case, every example I've ever talked about, he tried it out in his own company. Some worked, some didn't work, depending on the context. So I think...
What is the name of the company? For
Caria Group. It's a software company. Okay, sure. Yeah. And I don't know how well you are organized to let people play things like what I call the zero budget impact game, for instance. Imagine that you go back to your troops and you say, let's play the zero budget impact game, which means that you let them look for things that make your customers happy, but that don't cost anything, and make lists of that. And then let them select which ones you should work on and let them double down on it. And the other one is one that you work with. It's find the frictions that you create, list them, and look the ones that cost zero budget and let them play with it. And you know, why do I call it the zero budget impact game? Because the barrier is very low to start working with that. And if you do that over and over again and over and over again, and you let the people on their own make those decisions, and then you make like the wall of, you know, frustrations and the wall of excitement, it will be their wall. And I think it has to be their projects, their ideas, and that you support and facilitate them. I think that's the only thing I can say there, because I know you guys, and you guys are doing so many cool things, huh?
Something to do tomorrow again.
Huh? Yeah.
Change the culture. But indeed...
Thanks for being here, Patrick.
Great job, Patrick. Awesome. Another question that is sent in using Slido.
Okay.
From Michael. He says, I would like to deliver value beyond financial profits, but this is the current metric globally. How can I change that?
You can't. I think financial results will always be a metric, and I think they're crucial to survive as an organization. So there's nothing wrong with financial targets. There is something wrong if you only have financial targets. In organizations that come to me and they say, hey, Stephen, we want to be customer-centric, but it doesn't work, and the employees are not, you know, doing it right, I always ask them about their incentive system. And if it's 100% based on financial results, you can never be customer-centric, because then they will look for ways to optimize that and create as much value as possible for them. I think you need an incentive system that is based on customer satisfaction, on Net Promoter Scores, where you incentivize people to actually make sure that you have happy customers. And it's a matter of balancing those two out. And there's nothing wrong with figuring out ways how to reach your financial results, but at the same time, daring to invest in customers. And the more weight you will give to the customer part, the better. And the most common metric, Michael, that is used is Net Promoter Score, which is easy to understand. And I think the trick is to make it really work, is to make sure, if you use things like the Net Promoter Score, is to make sure that every individual in your company knows how they can add value to the Net Promoter Score. Because I've seen so many CEOs, they're saying, hey, our Net Promoter Score is now 15, it has to become 25. And the group is like, so what? They don't know what it means. If you want to make it work, you have to drill it down to a very personal and individual level and tell people, if you change this in your job, the Net Promoter Score will be influenced. And then you can start to play with it, and then you can manage it, and then you will have results with it.
Right. So you can change the meter. Everyone in the company can. And if you do the right thing, increase the Net Promoter Score, hopefully financial profits will still go up. Okay.
Exactly.
Michael, thank you for asking a question.
Thanks for the question.
And I see Vladimir, who is ready with sharing his video. Hi, Vladimir.
Hey, Vladimir. You have to unmute.
Yeah, I think that we need to do that.
We need to unmute you.
Let's think positive thoughts. Unmute Vladimir, please.
Vladimir, you have to unmute yourself, is what they're saying. Yeah, you did it.
Hi there. Hi there. Hi, Stephen. Thank you very much for a wonderful and insightful presentation. My congratulations with the book launch.
Thank you.
Looking forward to read it already. My question concerns the great brand communication in the digital space. As technologies evolve, customers become more and more empowered. They interact with each other in social media, in communities. They shape brand message and experience in social media. And companies have less power over brand message and in these digital communities.
Yep.
And I wonder how companies of the future will successfully leverage these empowered customers to make sure that the brand message is perceived as intended.
Yeah, very good question. And of course, the real question is, if you come up with a brand message and your customers don't believe it and they change it into something else, then the question is what went wrong? Usually what the customers will say is the real perception, and it's almost impossible to change that with a marketing campaign or a communication campaign. At that moment, it's crucial to listen, increase your listening skills to those people, bring them closer to you, hear what they have to say, and based on their feedback, try to go back to the drawing board and improve your services, improve your offering. And once that is ready, make sure that your customers can experiment with it, that they can try it out, so that they believe that you have changed and listened to them, and then you can start to communicate again. But, you know, a higher investment in communication budget will have an opposite approach. If your customers don't believe what you're saying, then you have to fix the problem first. That would be my recommendation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Thanks for being here.
Another question was sent in by Sylvia. Sylvia says, I only run a small business. How can I still make a big impact? Ooh, I love that question.
That's a good question. And, you know, on your local community, you can have a big impact, I think. If you are a gardener in a certain small town, and you feel that climate is changing, like I live in Belgium, summers are warmer and warmer and drier than ever. As a gardener, you can, you know, help your customers and your little town to adapt the way that people work in their gardens and the kind of plants that they plant, and you can actually have an impact in that community on climate. You can have a positive impact on your customer centricity, yeah, you know. And I think that should be the strength of local entrepreneurs, that they are more friendly, more enthusiastic, more flexible than those big companies. Like, let me give you an example. Jim, this weekend, my sister-in-law became 40. And we had a party, and my wife, her sister, she wanted to buy a nice bunch of flowers, and she wanted to make something really cool. Yeah. And she called to 3 garden centers in our neighborhood, and she explained what she wanted. And 2 of them said, well, it's Saturday, and you need this tomorrow. It's too busy. We will sell you some separate flowers, and you have to take care of everything yourself. And there was only 1 out of the 3 that said, of course, I want to help you, no problem. When do you need it? Oh, why don't you come by and tell me what you need, and then a few hours later you can pick it up, and we'll be happy to do that for you. Right. Where did we go? Where will we go back?
Sure.
3 small entrepreneurs, 1 had a big impact on a customer.
Yep.
So you can have an impact on society by thinking big, but I think the first step as a small business is to think about having impact on every individual client and try to, you know, do more than a big company would do. That's the mentality that you should have as a small entrepreneur.
Local impact can be big impact.
It can.
All right. Again,
I really believe
Sylvia, thank you so much for asking this question. Another question from Sladio is by Christoph.
Okay.
Oh, very current situation question. He said, did the COVID crisis change your ideas about the offer you can't refuse? Because the book wasn't finished in March, right? No.
I actually started writing in March. You know, the plan was, my initial plan was that I would write the book during my travels around the world in airport lounges and airport seats.
Is that your creative time, usually?
It was the first time. It was the first time that I was planning to do it like this. Sure. But I was looking forward to it. I was mentally ready, and the book would come out in November. That was the plan. Then COVID came, and I decided to start writing instantly. But my research was completely finished before COVID started. Okay. So this model that I presented was completely ready, and I had some case studies ready. But of course, during those first few weeks, there were so many emotions coming to me. There were so many changes in behavior. There was this jump in digital. I mean, it was like almost a time machine in digital that we jumped to 2030 in 8 weeks' time. So of course I had to take this into account. And the ideas of the offer you can't refuse, I believe that today they are more relevant, more important than if there wouldn't have been a COVID-19. So my personal belief in these ideas is stronger than ever before.
Sure. It's an augmentation of existing ideas.
It is.
Did you also have chapters on meetings, conferences, people getting together?
No.
Oh, okay.
Thank God.
You're very visionary.
Yeah.
Christoph and all the others, thank you so much for sending in the questions. Also, a big thank you to Dan, because I saw him cycling throughout the entire seminar.
Dan was cycling the entire time. So this is the cool thing about these kind of meetings.
Really impressive. So again, thanks to all the viewers and watchers for sending in those questions. Also, thank you for sharing your screen. Thank you to the crew. Faber, great job. Denk Producties, thank you so much. And Steven, thank you for writing another big impact book.
It's my pleasure. And thank you, Jim, for being a wonderful host of the show. And thanks for everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. This means a lot to me that so many people were interested in my new story. And I cannot wait to see all of you again in real life as soon as possible. But for now, it was fantastic to see you digitally. I hope you're going to have a wonderful evening and see you again soon. Bye-bye.
A new trend is emerging in terms of customer expectations. In recent years, it was all about offering digital convenience. Companies like Amazon, WeChat, Booking.com, and other leading digital companies excelled at creating digital convenience. The near perfection of their transactional relationship has changed customer relations forever. Today, digital convenience is the new standard, the new minimum. Customers feel it's only natural for a company to offer that convenience. Companies that don't are in serious trouble. Nowadays, digital convenience is a commodity. In the years to come, customer expectations will go beyond convenience. 3 dimensions will shape future customer expectations. The first dimension is about focusing on the customer's life journey. Optimize the emotional relationship with your customers. Start by identifying their problems, dreams, and challenges. If you can bring added value on this level, customers will see you as a partner in life. The second dimension deals with creating added social value. Consumers primarily look to companies to help solve major social issues. They put more trust in companies than in governments. People's concerns include health, the climate, and the rising tide of inequality. Customers expect companies to take their responsibility. It's not about an overall purpose, but about striving for concrete social objectives based on your organization's strengths. The third dimension is technological in nature. In this new decade, technologies like artificial intelligence, 5G, robotics, and quantum computing will mature considerably. In combination with a responsible mindset, they have the potential to significantly change every industry. With regard to the customer, they can mitigate certain trade-offs so that people won't have to choose anymore between privacy and convenience, between buying cheap and ethically manufactured products, between our own freedom and doing what's best for the planet. Of course, as a company, you obviously still need a good product or service. But dare to dream of the perfect customer relationship, taking into account the new dimensions that help shape customer expectations. Then reverse engineer back to today. Build your own prototype for the new customer relationship. Make your customers an offer they cannot refuse.
Explosion break